Chapter 61. Simon King got drunk and burned his vagina, while Li Pinger feasted on the double ninth festival even though she was sick. Even if the young man looks at it and goes to the south tomorrow, he will know that the rich man is close to you and me, which is different from others. Han Daguo said, "That's what I said in my heart. Tomorrow is the 5th day of the lunar month, which is not good. On the 6th day, arrange a banquet and ask the singers to bring a card. When I come to the house in person, invite the old man." Dad sat around to relax. "I went to sleep in the shop at night." Wang Liuer said, "What's the name of a singer? I'm afraid he will come to sit in this room after drinking, which will be inconvenient." Sister Shen, the daughter of sister-in-law Lesson's house next door, often leaves. She is young and he can sing, but he is blind. Please let him sing. It is easy to send him away. If you have nothing to do, please come with me. Come down and sit down for a day to relax, because I handed over the invitation. Simon King looked at it and said, "Why are you bothering with this? I'll have nothing to do tomorrow. I'll just go home to the Yamen." Han Daguo made a speech and went out. And then Simon King was sitting in a sedan chair, followed by Diane and Ongjing. Soap boots. Han Daguo welcomed him in. After seeing the courtesy, he said, "Thank you again, Dad, for the wine." There was a high chair in front of him, and Simon King sat down. "I am always away from home. My daughter-in-law at home is taken care of by my father. Wang Jing is promoted again and asked to agree to stay at home. I am grateful. It's not that simple. My brother was gone the day before yesterday. Although the villain was there, my daughter-in-law felt a little cold and didn't go to the house to ask questions. I'm afraid my father will be annoyed. Today, one of them asks my father to relieve his boredom, and both of them will forgive me. It's a crime for both of us." Simon King said, "I'll teach you two to worry about nothing." As he said this, Wang Liuer was also sitting next to him. Yin asked Han Daguo, "Have you told Dad?" Daguo said, "I haven't said it yet. I was at home the day before yesterday, and I saw that Sister Yu's singing was also good, but not as good as that of second Sister Shen. Please teach me today." He comes and sings to his father. "I wonder how you feel, old man." A light hairpin comb, a green coat and a red skirt, revealing a pair of golden lotuses. Zuo Kiao, to thin spring mountains. Wang Shang Koto to Simon King for times. Simon King said, "Please get up." "How young are you now?" Second Sister Shen said. "The younger one is 21 years old." He asked again, "How many songs do you remember?" Second Sister Shen said, "I remember hundreds of songs." Begin small. Simon King ordered Han Daguo to sit next to him. Second Sister Shen bowed forward and then sat down. "First I sang a set of Autumn Fragrance Pavilion with the Zheng, then ate soup and rice." He has a thin waist that can only be described with a twist, and a charming heart that is difficult to learn. I only regret that I didn't meet him too early. Often they sit on the mat in front of the bottle, pour wine and sing in a low voice, hugging each other. One look at it makes you feel true, and one look at it makes you full. Although it is a moment of joy, it will relieve the boredom and sorrow. Simon King was very happy after hearing these, to Suo Nazi. Just as he first invited Zhang Yuer, Wang Liuer filled another cup and said with a smile, "Dad, drink slowly." Second Sister Shen is only a fraction of the time. He can remember many small orders. Second Sister Shen said, "What did Dad say? How dare you disobey me when calling?" Simon King heard this. He spoke wisely and was very happy. After saying that, Second Sister Shen went next door. Han Daguo told his wife and went to sleep in the shop. Only his wife was left at the table, playing dice and drinking with Simon King. After eating for a while, the two of them started to salivate. The beating was so loud that all kinds of words came out of my wife's mouth. For a long time, I just heard my wife say, "My dear, if you want to burn the whore, just burn whatever piece you choose in your heart. The whore will not dare to stop you. The body of the whore belongs to you, so you are afraid of those things." Simon King said, "I'm afraid the anger in your family is true." His wife said, "How dare he be so angry? Where does he live?" Simon King said, "Since you are devoted to me, wait until he is sent away and Lai Bao gets up. He is always in the south, just being a buyer." My wife said, "Teach him to do it after he has been through it for a while. What can he do at home? He said he is used to walking outside, and he only wants to go outside if you look after him. It will be good. Wait for him come back and find someone else for him in my room. I don't want him either. I'm all about you. Just place me wherever you want. If I tell a lie, the worthless body of an adulteress will rot." After a while, Han Daguo lit a lamp and found him under the Buddhist hall. He saw him snoring in his nose and mouth. He kicked him awake and cursed, "You thief and a stray dog on death row. Don't get up. I just said to go to sleep in the shop first. You are here. I had a good sleep. Why don't you get up and come with me?" Who's you stood up, rubbed his eyes, and followed Daoguer to the shop in shock. Simon King played with his wife for an hour before finally getting over it. It was already the second watch when I got home, so I walked to Li Ping'er's room. Li Ping'er was sleeping on the bed. When he saw him coming and having a hearty meal, he said, "Whose house are you drinking at today? Boring. Just go to sleep in someone else's room. You just look at me looking good all day long, and I can only breathe. Here you are, pestering me again." Simon King said, "My darling, I can't let you go in my heart, as long as I sleep with you. What can I do?" Li Ping'er glanced at him and smiled. "Who believes your empty talk? I'll die tomorrow, and you won't be able to let me go." He added, "Yaifa, wait until I'm well, and it won't be too late for you to come in and sleep with me again. You don't go, but you come to my room to bother me," Simon King said. "What do you mean, I won't go?" Li Ping'er smiled and said, "I'm coaxing you. Just go ahead." So Simon King was sent there. "Please sit down with me," Jin Lian said. "He is outside, and you are at home taking care of his wife." Simon King said, "Man, how can this be true?" The woman said, "Man, there is such a truth. I tied a thread up to my waist, just to avoid crossing the border to Japan. You are still playing tricks on me, every mile. I know I'm impatient. It's your birthday, whore. He's not here. You secretly stole Li Ping'er's longevity hairpin, yellow cat and blacktail from him, but asked him to wear it for use. Auntie, Meng Saner, didn't you see any of this family?" When I asked him, he turned red in the face. "Didn't he tell you? You touched there again today. You are a shameless thief. A big slut turns into a whore. Her eyebrows are so beautiful. The water she draws is long, and the lips she paints are bright red, more like her blood Maobai. What a good wife. A big purple-chested and black whore. I don't know what you like about him. He sat with me today as a man, but he didn't come out." The woman said, "Are you trying to coax me with this? Who knows that this man is a man who is oblivious? He herds sheep and collects firewood. And all the while he leaves his wife with you. He just wants to do business in your house and make money from you. You stupid traitor, you have no choice but to listen to the sound of a cannon for 40 miles. Are we coming home late? You are acting like this. And you are so talkative. Make a promise. I will ask Chunmai to scoop out a bowl of cold water. And if you only eat it, I will consider you brave." Speaking of it, the same is true for salt. So salty, vinegar is so sour, even a sip of it is enough for the bald man in the net. If I believe you, I will fool all the wives in the world, a shameless thief, with a big eye fire dealer. You are already a man. If you were a wife, you would take care of her all over the streets and alleys. After saying a few words, Simon King just smiled. When he got up on the bed, he asked Chunmai to heat up the shaku. Took a pill from the golden heart-shaped box. Raised her waist and lifted her head up to 200 or 300 degrees. The woman couldn't bear it. She closed her eyes and trembled, shouting without words, "Dada, you just have to deal with me and don't let him go to you." Simon King called out, "Little slut, are you afraid of me? Don't you dare to be rude again?" The woman said, "My Dada, come on. Just given to me. I don't dare to do it anymore. Lift it slowly, and my hair will be scattered." The two were so in love that they went crazy for most of the night before going to bed from exhaustion. "Stop chatting. It's already the Double Ninth festival." Simon King said to Wu Yunyang, "Man Han invited me the day before yesterday. A singer named Shen Erji is a good talent and can sing. I sent a boy to pick him up and keep him for 2 days to teach him to sing with you every time. He also ordered the cooks to prepare the food, fruit and wine, and set up a large 8 immortals table in the large scroll shed in the garden to celebrate the Double Ninth festival with the family." After a while, the second sister Shen, whom Wang Jing picked up in a sedan, arrived. He went to the back and kowtowed to Yunyang and the others. Yunyang saw that he was young and looked good. If you ask him how many sets he has, he won't know that there are many, but he can memorize a lot of various little songs. While he was having tea and food, he was taught to sing the sets in the back, and then a banquet was set in the garden. That day, Simon King did not go to the Yamen, but watched the chrysanthemums being planted at home. Yunyang, Li Jier, Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, Li Ping'er, Sun Zui, and the eldest sister were all invited to sit at the banquet. Spring plum blossoms, jade flutes, yingshan and orchid fragrances are serving the guests with wine. Second sister Shen first played and sang on the pipa. Li Ping'er was in the room. Because of his inconvenience, he took half a day to come. Just like being blown away by the wind, he managed to gather his energy to sit with Simon King, and everyone asked him not to drink too much. When Simon King and Yunyang saw his sad face and frown, they said, "Sisterly, please relax and teach second sister Shen how to play and sing." Yulu said, "Tell him what song to sing and he will sing it easily." Li Ping'er just didn't say anything. In the middle of drinking, Wang Jing suddenly came up and said, "Second Father Ying and second Uncle Chang are here." Simon King said, "Please take a seat in the small scroll shed with your second father and second Uncle Chang, and I will come." Wang Jing Dao, second Uncle Chang, taught people to take to boxes outside. Simon King said to Yunyang, "This is because he became a house and bought gifts to thank me." Yunyang said, "You must arrange something to take care of him, so why don't you leave him alone? You sit with him, and I'll look after the dishes here." Simon Kinglin came out and called second sister Shen again. "Sing a good song. Let's listen to it with your mother." Went straight ahead. Jinlian said, "I haven't seen this sisterly either. Just teach sister Shen to sing whatever song you want. You will let down his father. I called him here for you, but you didn't say anything." Li Ping'er was so anxious that she finally said it after half a day. "Just sing Purple Road in the Red Dust." Second sister Shen said, "It doesn't matter, I have it." So he took the zither, opened his throat, and sang a set carefully. After singing, Wu Yunyang said, "Sisterly, this is such a sweet wine, please take a minute to drink it." Li Ping'er didn't dare to disobey, so she picked up the bell, took a sip, and put it down again. After sitting there for a short time, a burst of heat came from below and went back into the room, no matter what. When Simon King arrived at the Jade Pavilion in Shaochuan Shed, he saw Earl Ying and Chang Jiji looking at chrysanthemums under the pine wall. It turned out that there were 20 pots placed on both sides of the pine wall, all 7 feet high, with various famous chrysanthemums, including Da Hongpao, Zhuangyu Anhong, Purple Robe with Gold Belt, White Pink West, Yellow Pink West, Gypsophila, Drunken Young Fei, Jade Flowers, Peonies, Chrysanthemums, Mandarin Duck Flowers, etc. Simon King came out and the two of them bowed forward. Chang Jiji called the people who followed him and brought the box in. Simon King asked as soon as he saw it, "What is it again?" The count said, "Chang's second brother Meng was so kind that he became a house without any reward. He taught his wife how to make these fresh crabs and roast duck in 2 ovens. Invite me, come and sit with me." Simon King said, "Brother Chang, why are you bothering with this? You made Zheng sick better, and you forbid him from harming him." The Earl said, "I'm just telling you." He said something else, "I'm afraid brother do not care." Simon Kingling opened the box and looked at it. 40 large crabs, all peeled clean, stuffed with meat, wrapped in pepper, ginger, garlic and rice flour. Sesame oil replaced butterfly with worm for fire. Made with soy sauce and vinegar, fragrant, crispy and delicious. There are 2 more ducks cooked in the furnace in the courtyard. When Simon King saw it, he ordered Chen Hong and Wang Jing to go in and reward the person who took the box with 50 coins for thanking Changzi. The piano boy is lifting the curtain next to you. And please come and sit in the Jade Pavilion. The Earl only praised the beautiful chrysanthemums and asked, "Where did you find them?" Simon King said, "Eunuch Liu, who is in charge of the brick factory, gave them to me. These 20 pots, even the pots, were given to me." The Earl said, "It's not a big deal if you don't spend enough money. This basin is exactly the double-hooped mortar basin of the official kiln. They are beaten with silk, and the mud is passed with the feet just enough before firing. It is the same as Suzhou Deng mortar bricks, such a good way to do it. Where can I find it now?" He praised it. Simon King called for tea and asked, "When did Brother Chang move there?" The Earl said, "I moved there 3 days after I exchanged the money. I saw a good day yesterday and bought some groceries. His son is also open. Brother Chang Sao is looking after the silver in the shop for him." Simon King said, "I buy some gifts every time. Don't ask for more people. I'll invite Zizichen and 3 or 4 of you. I'll pack the vegetables at home and carry them away. Don't bother Brother Chang with some things. Just call 2 every time we warm a prostitute's room. We'll play for a day." Chang Jiji said, "I want to invite you to sit with me if you want. But I don't dare to do it because of calculations. The place is so narrow. I'm afraid I'll offend my brother." Simon King said, "It's not nonsense. It's your trouble again. Now let's invite Zizichen to come and talk to him." Even Qin Tunger said, "Please go to Dad quickly." The Earl asked, "Brother, are you going to ask those 2 to go that day?" Simon King said with a smile, "Just ask Zheng Yuer and Hong Sire to go." The Earl said, "Brother, you are a human being. You asked him not to say anything to me. How could I know it?" "How is it better than Li Guo Feng Yu?" Simon King said, "Those who are born with silk can't be described." The Earl said, "Why was he so speechless and coy on your birthday the day before yesterday? She was also a slutty little whore." Simon King said, "I'll wait until a certain time and I'll take you with me for a walk. Your Yun Yang can fight Shuanglu very well. You and he can play to stick Shuanglu." The Earl said, "Don't let him go when I go to mess with that little whore." Simon King said, "You crooked bitch. Just don't get to know him badly." Just as he was talking, Zizide arrived, said his vows, and sat down. Simon King said, "Second Brother Chang has a new Huayu, and he has moved there without telling me. Each of us contributes as much as we like, so don't bother him at all. I've managed the place well and taught you." The young man carried me to his house, and I called to prostitutes. "So how about we have fun for a day?" Zizidao, brother tells me how much money each person contributes. I will send it to him every time. "How many others are there?" Simon King said. "There is no one else, only these 3 or 4, each with 2 stars. "Silver is enough," the count said. "There are 10 people, and there is no room for him." Just as he was talking, Qin Tong said, "Uncle Wu is here." Simon King said, "Please uncle, come and sit here." After a while, Uncle Wu entered the pavilion, bowed to the 3 of them, and then sat down with Simon King. The boy brought tea and they drank it together. Uncle Wu stood up and said, "Brother-in-law, please come to the back and say a word." Simon King quickly asked his uncle to go to Yunyang's room at the back. Yunyang was still eating wine and listening to singing with the sisters in the scroll shed, when she heard someone say, "Uncle is here, and Dad is with me talking behind me." As he walked to the upper room, he saw his uncle wishing him blessings and asking Xiao Yu to bring him tea. The uncle took out 10 taels of silver from his sleeve and handed it to Yunyang, saying, "Yesterday, the house only received 3 ingots of silver. My brother-in-law has just collected these 10 taels and will send the rest later." Simon King said, "Uncle, why are you so fussy? Why are you so panicked?" The uncle said, "I'm afraid I'm too late for my brother-in-law." Simon King Yin asked, "Is the warehouse repairs about to be finished?" The uncle said, "It will take another month to complete." Simon King said, "When the work is completed, there must be some reward." The uncle said, This year's military and political examinations are close by. I hope my brother-in-law will support me. The Grand Patrol can tell me, Simon King said. Uncle's affairs all depend on me. After finishing speaking, Yoon Young said, Uncle, please sit in front with us. The uncle said, I'll go. I'm afraid the three of them will have something to say when they come. Simon King said, Nothing to say. Brother Chang recently asked me how many taels of silver I borrowed to buy 2 houses. He has moved there. Today he bought some gifts to thank me and leave them for him to sit with during the festival. Uncle came just in time, so I sat in front. Yoon Young quickly asked the cook to send layer up. Kim Tong and Wang Jing first set the table for the 8 immortals in order. Then Simon Qingxuan opened the storeroom and brought out a jar of chrysanthemum wine sent by the Jia Xing family. Open the blue indigo, which is fragrant and fragrant. It has not been sifted. First, add a bottle of cold water to remove the pungent nature of the polygonum. Then store it in a cloth steamer and sift it out to be mellow and delicious. Not to mention wine. He asked Wang Jing to pour a cup with a small golden bell. He tasted it with Uncle Wu first. And then everyone including the Earl tasted it and were extremely envious of it. After a while, large plates and bowls were served, and everyone had a meal. Then they brought stuffed crabs and 2 plates of roasted duck, and the count let his uncle eat. Even Zizida didn't know what it was made of, but it was so flavorful, crispy and delicious. Simon King said, This was given to me by Brother Chang's family. The uncle said, I am 52 years old. But I didn't know that crabs are so artificial and delicious. The count asked again, Have your sisters-in-law tasted it before? Simon King said, Fang, it's available every time. The Earl said, It's hard for me, sister-in-law Chang. What a good trick, Chang Jiji said with a smile. I'm so tired, but I'm afraid I'll have to teach you jokes. After eating crabs, people came up to pour wine. Simon King ordered Chun Hung and Shadong to sing southern songs. Earl Ying suddenly heard the sound of playing the zither and singing in the large shed, and asked, Brother, Sister Li Gui is here today. Otherwise, how could there be such a sound of music? Simon King said, Listen again and see if it's true. The Earl said, It's either Sister Li Gui or Wu Yinner. Simon King said, You are a slut who only talks nonsense. You are a female gentleman. The Earl asked, Isn't it Sister Yu? Simon King said, It's not him. This is second sister Shen. Nine Chali is a good person and can sing. The Earl said, Is this really good? Why don't you take it out and let me have a look? Just sing it and I will listen to it. Simon King said, Today, you and your ladies ask him to come and enjoy the double ninth festival during the festival, but you are a dog with sharp ears and can hear. The Earl said, I am a clairvoyant and an ear for the wind. I will follow him for 40 years. There are bees buzzing inside, and I hear them too. Zi Shidao said, You are a flower child. Your ears are like bamboo sticks. You can't hear. The 2 joked again. And the Earl said, Brother, you should call him out. Every time I see him, whenever I don't care, I just teach him to sing and listen to my old uncle. Don't worry about it. Simon King couldn't force him, so he asked Wang Jing to lead Sister Shen out to sing and listen to his uncle. After a while, the second sister Shen came, kowtowed to him, and sat down with him on the bed next to him. The Earl asked the second sister Shen, How young is your youth? The second sister Shen replied, She is ox. She is 21 years old. He asked again, How many small songs do you know? Second sister Shen said, I can play several small songs on the pipa and zither, and I can also sing hundreds of them. The Earl said, You can sing a lot and that's enough. Simon King said, Second sister Shen, just sing some short lyrics on the pipa. It will save you labor. I said you can sing for dreams and 8 spaces, and you can sing it with my uncle. He ordered Wang Jing and Shu Tunger to serve wine during the banquet. The second sister Na Shen wore her silk gauze and opened her sandalwood mouth slightly, singing slowly while everyone drank without mentioning it. Let's say that Li Pinger returned to the room and sat down on the bucket. It looked like urine was flowing down from the bucket. He just started to urinate, and his eyes suddenly turned dark due to the pee. When I got up to put on my skirt, I suddenly felt dizzy, knocked forward and fell to the ground. Even though Yingxun was there to support him, He even bruised the skin on his forehead. I went to the king with my breasts and was unconscious for half a day. Yingxun panicked and hurriedly told Xu Chun, "Tell the aunt quickly." Xu Chun walked to the banquet and reported to Yunyang and others. Yunyang abandoned the banquet and hurriedly came over with her sisters to have a look. He saw Yingxun and Nazi holding him and sitting on the king, unconscious. Then he asked. He came into the house well. Why did he bring it bad? Yingxun opened the bucket and looked at Yunyang, which shocked Yunyang, said. He was just afraid that the wine he drank just now made his blood so strong that he shed this. Yulu and Jinlian both said, "How often does he drink heavily?" They poured him boiled rush and ginger soup. It took him a while to wake up, and then he spoke. Yunyang asked, "Sisterly, why are you here?" Li Ping'er said, "I don't know." She sat down and stood up to put on her skirt. She saw a dark patch in front of her eyes and felt the world start to spin. He couldn't help but collapsed. Yunyang then sent an emissary to enter. "Invite your father to come in. Tell him to ask a medical officer to see you." Li Ping'er asked him to go back angrily. "Don't make a fuss and disturb him from drinking." Yunyang told Yingxun, "Let's lay down a shop and teach your mother to sleep." Yunyang couldn't eat or drink anymore, so she ordered everyone to pack up and go back to the back. Simon King accompanied Uncle Wu and others and returned to Yunyang's room at the back at night. Yunyang told Li Ping'er about her fall, and Simon King hurriedly walked forward to take a look. Seeing Li Ping'er sleeping on the king, her complexion turned yellow. She was pulling Simon King's sleeves and crying. Simon King asked why, and Li Ping'er said, "I sat down in the house, and for some reason, I just started to pee like urine. And I didn't realize that there was a black patch in front of my eyes. When I got up to put on a skirt, the world was spinning, and I fell down." When Simon King saw a bruise on his forehead, he said, "The girls are all there, not looking at you. Why did you get hurt by the fall?" Li Ping'er said, "It's a good thing that all the girls are here, and the breasts cut the could support me. Otherwise, I don't know how bad I'll fall." Simon King said, "I'll ask Medical Officer Ren to see you tomorrow morning." That night I slept on the bed opposite Li Ping'er. The next morning, I went to the Yamen and asked Qin Tong to be appointed as a medical officer. Didn't come until noon. Simon King first had tea with him in the hall and asked the servant to come in. Li Ping'er cleaned up the room, scented it with incense, and then invited Medical Officer Ren to come into the room. After diagnosing the pulse, he walked out to the outside hall and said to Simon King, "The old lady's pulse is much heavier than before. The 7 emotions hurt the liver, and the lung fire is too strong, causing the wood to be strong and the soil to be weak, and the blood and heat to run wildly, like a landslide. It cannot be controlled if the blood is purple. It can still be treated if it is bright red. It is new blood. The student takes the medicine, and if it stops for a while, there is hope. Otherwise, it will be difficult." Simon King said, "I hope that Mr. Chi will pay attention to additions and subtractions. The students will be very grateful." Medical Officer Ren said, "What words? You and I are kind and affectionate, and the students are all dedicated." Simon King waited for the tea to be finished and sent it out. He immediately brought a piece of silk and 2 taels of platinum and asked Qin Tong to ask for some medicine, which was called Gipi decoction. If he drank it while it was hot, the blood would stop flowing. Simon King became more and more panicked and asked Dr. Hu from the main street to come and take a look. Dr. Hu said that the qi rushed into the blood vessels and heat entered the blood chamber, so he also took some medicine. After eating it, it's like a stone sinking into the ocean. Yunyang saw that the imperial doctor was in chaos, so she only stayed with the second sister Shen for 1 night. She gave him 5 coins of silver, a piece of cloud silk, bijia and flowers, and green flowers. Put a box in it, and sent him away in a sedan chair. Hua Jiu went to have a drink at the opening that day. When she heard that Li Ping'er was not doing well, she called Sister Hua and bought 2 boxes of gifts to see him. Seeing that Huang Yan'er was not as thin as before, the 2 of them cried loudly in the room. Yunyang served tea behind him and invited him to eat. Han Daguo said, "There is Dr. Zhao, who is a gynecologist who lives outside Dongmen. He understands everything and is very good at seeing." A year ago, my daughter-in-law had a regular menstruation. It was his fault. My father asked him to come and see Liu Niang. Just take care of things. After Simon King heard this, he sent Qin Tong and Wang Jing to ride on top of each other and go outside to invite Dr. Zhao. Simon King invited Earl Ying to come and discuss with him. The sick servant is very bad. What should I do? The Earl was surprised and said, this sister-in-law Gui Chao said it was better, but why is it not good? Get up. Simon King said, since the child was gone, I became sick again due to worries. Yesterday, on the Double Ninth Festival, I picked up the second sister Shen and played with him to relax, but he didn't like drinking too much. Who knew? When he walked into the house, he fainted, fell down, and bruised his face. He asked a medical officer to come and see him, and he said that his pulse was heavier than before. After taking medicine, he became even more bloody. The Earl asked, you asked Doctor Who to see me. What did you say? Simon King said, Doctor Who said that the blood vessels were flushed with anger. Even after eating his, there was no movement. Today, Mr. Han said that there was a Dr. Zhao outside the door named Zhao Longgang who specialized in treating women. I sent my servant to invite him. It makes me very anxious. It's not good for this child all my life. I think about this disease day and night. The woman didn't know how to turn around. She tried to persuade him, but she refused to obey you, which made me unable to deal with it. Just as he was saying this, he came to report safely. Kiao's father is here. Simon King led him into the hall and talked with the Earl. He sat down politely. Kiao-Da said, I heard that the mother of the 6 parents was a little uneasy, so she came here to ask for questions. Simon King said, that's right. I had always been worried about the loss of my child, and some of the imbalances in my body had recurred. My relatives are thinking of me, Kiao-Da said. Have you ever invited people to come and see you? Simon King said, I often take Ranuxi's medicine. Yesterday I invited Mr. Hu from the street to come and see me. After taking the medicine, my symptoms are getting better and better. Today, I asked Zhao Longgang, who specializes in gynecology, to go to the outside. Kiao-Da said, the old man he who lives in front of our county is very good at both big and small. His son, He Kixuan, has become a doctor. Why don't your in-laws invite him to come and see your in-laws? Simon King said, since it's good, wait for Zhao Longyang to come, and then invite him to come and have a look. Kiao-Da said, my dear, in my humble opinion, it is better to invite Mr. He to come first, and then wait for Zhao Longyang to come. Ask the 2 of them to talk about it in detail, and they will find out the cause of the disease. Then give the medicine. There is no reason why it won't work. Simon King said, that's what my relatives said. At the same time, he asked Diane to take the invitation and Kiao Tong to invite him. After a while, old man he arrived and met with Simon King and Kiao-Da. After bowing, Simon King raised his hands and said, I haven't seen you for several years, and my beard has become grayer and brighter. Kiao-Da asked again, is it common for your son to miss school? Old man, he said, he greets people in the county every day, and he has no time to spare. On the contrary, he often comes out to see a doctor. The count said, you have lived a long life, and you are still so healthy. Old man, he said, old Zhuo is 81 years old this year. After finishing talking and watching the tea being served, the boy said to go in. After a while, please go to the room, get on the bed, check Li Ping'er's pulse, help her up, and sit on the king. She looks very thin and embarrassed. But I saw him. His face was like gold paper and his body was like silver bars. Look at the signs of fading away and slowly disappearing the wonderful things. My ears can faintly hear the sound of rock. My eyes are dim and I can feel the fireflies flying. The 6 pulses are thin and deep, and the spirit is misty. The mourner has arrived, and Bian Q and Lu are unable to do anything. After checking her pulse, Mr. He went out to the hall and said to Simon King and Kiao-Da, this lady's semen rushed into her blood vessels, and then she became angry. When the qi and blood fight, the blood is like a collapse. I don't know when it started. Is it the cause of the disease? Simon King said, yes, it is, but how to treat it? During the discussion, he suddenly reported, Qin Tong and Wang Jing have invited Mr. Zhao. Old man, he then asked. Who is he? Simon King said. It's also a doctor who was brought up by the waiter. You, the old man, just dismissed it after he checked his pulse. You, the old man, talked to him so that he could give medicine. After a while, Dr. Zhao came in from outside. Simon King finished the ceremony with him and then met everyone. He and Kiao were in the middle, with him on the left, the Earl on the right, and Simon King as the host. After having tea, Dr. Zhao asked, What's your surname? Mr. Kiao said, My surname is He, and my surname is Kiao. The Earl said, My surname is Ying. I think it is Mr. Zhao Longgang. Imperial physician Zhao replied, Longgang is a humble name. I take medicine as my profession. My ancestor Jian is the judge of the Taiyuan Hospital. My father Jian is a good doctor in your mansion. He has been passed down from generation to generation to learn medical skills. I study Wang Shu Han Dong Yuan every day. Wu Tingzi's Ode to the Nature of Medicine, Huangdi Suwan, Difficult Classics, Living Book, Dangxi Compilation Essentials. Dangxi Heart Method, Ji Ancient Pulse Ju, Additional and Subtractive 10-3 Prescriptions. 1,000 gold prescriptions with miraculous effects. Show you divine prescriptions. And Hai Fang Fang, there are no books that I will not read. Medicinal methods are used to activate the chest. And the clear pulse points to the secrets. The 6 Qi and for a clock distinguish the standard pattern of yin and yang. The 7 exteriors and 8 miles determine the ups and downs of Guanj. The symptoms of wind deficiency, cold and heat can be seen at a glance. The veins of Xianhong stone are all familiar. A villain's clumsy mouth and blunt kiss cannot be elaborated. After hearing this, old man, he said, May I ask who should be put first when seeing a doctor? Dr. Zhao said. The ancient said that looking, hearing and asking questions is a sacred skill. Students first ask about the disease, then look at the pulse, and also look at the complexion. Just like siping, only if you have an average of 5 stars can you see it accurately, and it is not bad at all. Old man, he said, in that case, sir, please go in and have a look. Simon King ordered the piano boy. We'll talk about it later. I've invited Mr. Zhao here again. After a while, Simon King accompanied him into Li Ping'er's room. Li Ping'er had just slept comfortably for a while. Then he lifted her up and sat leaning on the pillow. Dr. Zhao first examined his left hand, then his right hand, and then taught. The old lady raised her head and looked at her complexion. That Li Ping'er really raised his head. Dr. Zhao taught Simon King, Dad, please ask the old lady. Who am I? Simon King asked Li Ping'er. Who do you think this is? Li Ping'er looked up and whispered, said, How dare he be an imperial doctor? Mr. Zhao said, Dad, it doesn't matter. I still recognize him. Simon King said, Mr. Zhao, please pay attention and I will thank you very much. After looking at her for half a day, he said, Don't blame me for the old lady's illness. According to her complexion and pulse, it's not typhoid, just a miscellaneous disease. It's not postpartum, but prenatal, Simon King said. It's not this disease. Sir, please take a closer look. Mr. Zhao pondered for a while and said, If your complexion is so yellow, it means spleen deficiency and diarrhea. Otherwise it must be irregular menstruation. Simon King said, To tell you the truth, sir, the room is like this, and the moon water is dripping down there, so the body is thin. I have some urgent and wonderful medicine. I thank you very much. Mr. Zhao said, What do you think? I'll just say it's irregular menstruation. Don't worry about the tight spots. The villain has medicine. Simon King came to the front hall with him. Kiao Dahu and Mr. He asked him what the cause of the disease was. Mr. Zhao said, According to a villain, it's just dripping menstruation. Mr. He asked, What medicine should be used to treat it? Mr. Zhao said, I have a wonderful recipe. Using these medicinal materials, you can take it and control your mood. Listen to me. Licorice kansui and shigeng sand, Lebanon, daikon. Raw vanilla mixed with ginger juice, aconite almonds, and gastrodia elata. All these flavors are added together. Green onion honey and pills are added together, and serve with shaku in the morning. After hearing this, old man, he said, I'm afraid this kind of medicine is too poisonous to be taken. Mr. Zhao said, "Since ancient times, poison is bitter and good for the disease. Why can't you eat it?" Simon King saw that he was talking nonsense, because it was a Han guy who came to sponsor him, so he couldn't yell at him. Even if he offered 2 coins of silver, he sent him away, because he said to Kiao Dahu, "This person doesn't know anything." "Old man," he said, "I dare not tell you just now. This person is the famous Zhao Naogui outside the East Gate. He sells sticks and ring bells on the street to coax people passing by. He knows the source of the pulse disease, because he said, 'The old lady has this disease, so I went home to collect some medicine. By chance, if the menstrual fluid decreases and the chest opens a little, it will be easier to take the medicine. I'm afraid it won't stop, and it will be difficult.'" After saying that, "Get up," Simon King Feng gave him a tael of platinum and asked Diane to bring him a box to ask for the medicine. He and Li Pinger ate it in the evening, but there was no movement at all. Wu Yunyang said, "You can save yourself the trouble of taking medicine with him." He stopped eating and drinking first, and just used medicine to catch him. In the former case, Wu Shengshan thought that he would suffer a bloody disaster in Sanju, but this year it will not be the same. He is 27 years old. Yu also sent people to look for this Wu Shengshan and ask him to calculate the number of the Luma for him. "I am afraid that I will offend some stars, so I will protect him for him." After Simon King heard this, he sent someone to take the post to Zhou's defense mansion and ask. There was a reply, "Wu Shengshan's wandering people come and go indefinitely, but they only stay under the Earth Temple in the south of the city. From April this year, I went to Wudang Mountain. If you want to tell your fortune, there is a Mr. Huang outside the Shenwu Temple. It's a good number, it only costs 3 coins per count, and it won't go to anyone's door." Simon King then asked Chen Jingji to take 3 coins and go to the house of Mr. Huang, the head of the Shenwu Temple in the north. There is a sticker on the door, copy the innate easy number, and each life hexagram has 3 coins of gold. Chen Jingji bowed forward, offered the hexagram gold, and said, "There is a fate that troubles Mr. Wang to predict. Write his horoscope, female life, 27 years old, noon on the 15th day of the first lunar month." As soon as Mr. Huang hit the fortune teller, he said, "This fate, at the time of Jiaowu on the Shinmao day of the Zhenjian month of the Shinwei year, is based on the pattern of Yinsui, and it is based on the 4-year-old fortune. The 4-year-old Jiwei, the 14-year-old Wu Wu, 24-year-old Dingxi, 34-year-old Bingshen. This year is fleeting, Dingyu, shoulder to shoulder in work. The year is old and the day is dry. The star of the capital is in charge of life, and the 5 ghosts of the mourning family are guilty of disaster, killing and speculation. Those who plan the capital. It is also a gloomy star. Its image is like a tangled thread without a head, mutating and changing. When it comes to great luck, it often leads to obscure things and causes diseases. It is mainly responsible for diseases and disasters in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th and 9th months, and small mouths. It is bad, calculated by villains, and the owner will lose his property due to bad words, or it may be a great disadvantage for Yin people. After copying the number, Jingji took it home. Simon Qingzheng, Earl Ying and Wen Shukai were sitting there. They copied a few copies and took them to the back to explain and listen to Yunyang. Seeing that there are many misfortunes and few good fortunes in one's life, without realizing it. There are 3 yellow locks between the eyebrows, and there is a lot of sorrow in the belly.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.